How's that? Okay. So just like Pastor Bigner this morning, I too got a text when I was in the shower from Pastor Steve saying, guess what? You need to burn the mortgage this morning. So not being very prepared for this, I had to think, how the heck are we even going to do this? So I thought about, well, if we put it in something that could contain the fire, maybe a big pot. So I went back to where the Super Bowl pots were, that we put cans of soup in. And I chose the New England Patriots pot. That would be appropriate. So, unbeknownst to Pastor Steve, this is kind of ironic because back in 1999, I actually did the application for the first mortgage. And at that time, I was a member of Finance Council and the head of Finance, and I was asked, hey, since you're the head of Finance, you go ahead and apply for the mortgage. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And as you can imagine, commercial banks aren't real anxious to do business with churches when it comes to mortgages, because if you were to default, it would be a public relations nightmare. So I was very fortunate to have a conversation with Thrivent that helped lead us through that process. So back in 1999, Pastor Krogman was our pastor, and soon after he got here, he recognized some issues we had with the building. And he said, for our program, the way that things are working here, we really need some more space. Because back then, if you can imagine, and if you were here, when we exited from church, we exited right into what is now that code area. And where you now see the mailboxes in our gathering area, that was the front of the church. So the idea was to create more space for people to get together, for fellowship, for celebrations, and that became part of what we wanted to build out. And we needed more office space for the staff. And at that time, I was put on a committee, a steering committee, which eventually became Building Together with Pastor and Chuck Moore. And the late Chuck Moore was a member of our congregation. He was an architect, and he really oversaw the planning of this and the building of this, and he gave his heart and soul to this project. It was a pleasure to work with him at that time. So in building this whole thing together, we really had no idea what we were going to do to create more space. And when we were first talking about it at a town hall the night before, my mother-in-law, Beverly Nolan, sketched out what she thought could be space for us for more gathering. That drawing, along with a lot of other input from people, led to what is now that fellowship area. And then we built out where Steve's office is now, and where Adrian's office is downstairs, along with Katie. So that's what we built out. We applied for our mortgage, and thanks to you, the congregation, from your weekly giving, from your yearly giving, and from special gifts, the mortgage is over. So we're here to get rid of it and burn it this morning and celebrate with some cake and coffee. So before I do that, anybody else have any references to that time or memories or anything else they want to share before we get rid of this thing? All right. So it just says on our letter that the mortgage came back with. Congratulations. The above referenced loan was paid on December 15th, 2018. The following documents and papers relative to this loan are being returned to the congregation for your records. So without further ado, how else you do this, but we'll light this thing up. I don't have that, but I'm hoping that it's not going to burn too high with a couple pieces of paper. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll get a little bit of water. And I think that David had a good idea and support. So David, there, a little bit better than water. Thanks, David. Nice day. Thank you. No, this is my favorite cigar lighter, so it's not liturgical. probably a good time to clap, I would think.